The first trailer for the Motley Crue biopic The Dirt recently dropped, and it touched on several of the band's career milestones that we're going to break down for you right now.
Holy shit.
We get to see the band's formation early in the trailer as Tommy founds the group with Nikki Sixx and singer-guitarist Greg Leon. After Neon left, they placed an ad for a replacement and found guitarist Nick Mars. Singer Vince Neil was the last to join. The four members are described in the trailer as...
We got a Runaway, a kid drummer, an old man. Let's just play it. A cover band singer.
They say you're gonna be a rock star.
So what do these titles mean? The Runaway is Nikki Sixx. He was raised by his grandparents after being abandoned by his mother. As a teenager, he was in trouble for stealing and was kicked out of school for dealing drugs. When he was 17, he moved to Los Angeles and played in a few bands before connecting with Lee. The cute drummer is Tommy Lee. The trailer makes it seem like he was destined for rock stardom. You see him practicing devil hand poses in the mirror and borrowing his sister's skin-tight animal print pants.
But they look so much better on me.
The old man is Nick Mars. Now, depending on the source, he was either born in 1951 or 1955. Even if the later date is accurate, he would still be 3 years older than the next oldest member of the band, Nikki Sixx. And the cover band singer is Vince Neil. Lee knew Vince from high school, where they had been in different bands. Neil then moved on to another group called Rock Candy, and when that band began to fall apart, he accepted Motley Crue's offer to join. The trailer does a great job distilling the band's energy and stage presence. In one scene, Sixx swings his bass at an audience member, and this took place at their first ever concert on April 24, 1981. They opened up 2 sets for Y&T at the Starwood Hotel in West Hollywood. Neil claimed that someone in the crowd spit on him during their first song, so he jumped off the stage and put him in a headlock and just started beating him. Still, they quickly won over the crowd. According to Neil, positive word of mouth spread, and when Y&T came out for their second set on Saturday, half the room had already emptied.
You guys like a record deal?
We also see the band get signed by Tom Zutaut. Played by Pete Davidson, Zutaut was responsible for bringing Motley Crue to Elektra Records. A few years later, he was working for Geffen when he signed another band from the Los Angeles metal scene, Guns N' Roses. The film shows scenes from the band's infamous Shout at the Devil tour. Motley Crue's second album, Shout at the Devil, arrived in September 1983. The nascent band caught the attention of Ozzy Osbourne, who picked him to be his opening act in support of Bark at the Moon. This tour became a lesson for Motley Crue about rock and roll decadence from the master of rock and roll decadence. One famous story in the band's memoir says that they found Osbourne in a dress snorting ants because there was no more cocaine. Tony Cavallero plays Ozzy in the film, so maybe we'll get to see this or even more depraved stories brought to life. In 1983, Motley Crue signed a management deal with Doc McGhee, who later admitted that he wasn't a fan of the band but saw their commercial potential. 6 years later, they fired McGhee after Bon Jovi, another of his clients, wound up headlining the Moscow Music Peace Festival.
I had managed the Scorpions, Bon Jovi, Skid Row, Kiss, but I had never been through what Motley Crue put me through.
But it wouldn't be a rock biopic without a lot of tragedy. Motley Crue were celebrating their first U.S. tour with the Hanoi Rocks on December 8, 1984, when Neil and drummer Nicholas Razzle Dingley lost control of their vehicle and crashed into an oncoming car. Razzle was killed and a person in the other car suffered brain damage. Neil was charged with vehicular manslaughter and driving under the influence of alcohol. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail, though he was released early for good behavior, 5 years probation, and 200 hours community service. Neil also paid $2.6 million in restitution. The trailer hints at the band members' troubled personal lives as well. Before Tommy and Pam took a trip on a boat, there was Tommy and Heather Locklear. They couldn't have seemed more different coming into their May 10, 1986 nuptials. She was the squeaky clean actress who portrayed Officer Stacy Sheridan on T.J. Hooker, and Tommy Lee was, well, you know. This didn't seem like a union that would last, but they were actually married for 8 years. After their 1994 divorce, Locklear married Bon Jovi guitarist Richie Sambora, while Lee moved on to Pamela Anderson, marrying her just 96 hours after they met. Lee and Neil individually confirmed that Mick Mars's battle with ankylosing spondylitis, which is a kind of arthritis that impacts the lower spine, was a contributing factor in Motley Crue's retirement from the road. In 2013, Lee said it's just progressively getting really worse and it's painful for him, so he doesn't want to tour much longer, and I can't say I blame him. Mars later pushed back on Twitter saying, "Any rumors regarding a farewell tour due to my poor health are BS. I am doing fine. My AS has never kept me from touring and never will." Nikki Sixx actually died on December 23, 1987, overdosing on heroin during a night of partying with Slash, Steven Adler, and Rat's Robin Crosby. Paramedics administered an adrenaline shot to revive him, but not before Sixx had an out-of-body experience, which he later recounted in The Dirt, Confessions of the World's Most Notorious Rock Band. Sixx awoke a few hours later in the hospital and then left, wearing nothing more than just his leather pants. Outside in the parking lot, he met a pair of groupies who were holding a vigil in his memory. Vince Neil's 4-year-old daughter Skylar died of cancer in 1995. That led the singer to found the Skylar Neil Memorial Fund, which has raised millions of dollars for children's cancer research. Neil's 1995 solo album, Carved in Stone, also includes a tribute called Skylar's Song. The film debuts on Netflix on March 22nd, and if you're finding us for the first time, be sure to subscribe.
Motley Crue, here all week!